Hey, peak performers. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone is having a good week. Amazing that we are rounding out July here, one more full week, and hopping into August. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Elizabeth Galprin, owner of Turnleaf Organizing. I'm a productivity coach helping business owners who want to grow and scale their business through structure and systems. Good morning, Barbara. Glad to see some folks rolling in. So, my theme this week in this Facebook community has been decision making. And I was thinking a little bit about, we all have stories in our head about what we're good at and what we're not good at. And I have always thought of myself as a poor decision maker. I definitely have improved in my decision making skills. And as a business owner, I've learned that that's vital. But if I think back to before I owned a business and really in the first couple of years, I just remember like whenever I had to make an important decision, I mean, my anxiety would go through the roof. I was always looking for someone to help me or to validate the decision that I was trending towards. And so I've always defined myself as, oh, I'm a person who doesn't like to make important decisions. It takes me a really long time. I actually took a test called the Colby assessment several years ago, and that defined me as a researcher. So that became part of my story. Oh, I'm a person who has to have all the facts before I can confidently make a decision. And so, as I was working on all of the content for this week, it really raised my awareness of actually, I'm a great decision maker. I can decide today and tomorrow and every day forward that I'm great at making decisions, that's part of my power, that is part of what makes me a good business owner, part of what makes me a good coach, that I don't have to go back to the previous way I was defining myself. So my goal today is to kind of help you to start looking at how you make decisions in your business and to forget about what you've always thought about your decision making skills and to decide today that you are capable of decision making, that you are have everything you need to make good decisions, that as a business owner that is one of your skills. It's one of your, it really does give you control and authority. And I think the more we understand about the types of decisions we're making, the better we can see ourselves as decision makers. So, as you are joining, if you wouldn't mind, drop me a comment and let me know if you feel good about your decision making power skills or if it's something that you also historically have struggled with, and if you have ever been in that place where you've defined yourself as, oh, I'm terrible at making decisions. Do you have a story about it, and are you ready to embrace a new story about it? So the 6 types of decisions that business owners must make. So this is based on some research that I've done, and then I kind of put my own spin on it. And I want to start with letting you know we as humans make roughly 35,000 decisions every day. Now, even if that number is inflated, there's research on it, but I'm sure every researcher has a slightly different way of gathering their data. Even if that number is slightly inflated, let's say it's actually 20,000 or 25,000, that is a huge number, right? I mean, it's like, I don't know what the math would be, but like how many decisions a minute would that be? So there is absolute truth to the fact that we can experience decision fatigue, that oftentimes we make decisions without really being aware that they are decisions. And if we've been making 35,000 decisions for our adult life, let's say every day in our adult life, we've really gone into, it's become a rote matter in many ways. And so I think it's important for us to step back and say, am I handling these different types of decisions the way I want to handle them? Because a lot of things have become default for us. And there is a lot of value in like stepping outside of ourselves and looking and saying, am I doing this the right way? Do I want to change how I make decisions? Do I want to offload some of the decisions that I'm making? And am I really differentiating between the types of decisions that I make? So, those are my goals and objectives for today, for those of you who are joining us live and those of you who are joining us by replay. Okay, so one of my favorite quotes, and I'm fairly certain I shared this earlier this week, is progress is made only when we are making decisions. So I'm sure you've heard this in lots of different forms, but when we don't make a decision, we are making a decision, right? So being in paralysis, waiting too long, stopping and saying, I need more information, that is a decision to postpone. And again, if you're familiar with my teaching and my principles, one of the most high impact statements that I put out there and that my audience receives is the fact that clutter is postponed decisions. So when we put off making a decision, oftentimes we're creating some sort of clutter, whether it's a pile of papers because we haven't decided where they belong, whether it's a calendar that has too many, it's cluttered with appointments because we haven't decided where we should be spending our time and what activities we should be saying no to, whether it's just the head mental clutter because there's so many things going on and so many things that we're still thinking about. So clutter is postponed decisions. So if you're experiencing clutter in your life, in your business, it probably is very directly related to the decisions you're making or the decisions you're not making. I also say that time management is decision management. So every client I work with struggles with time management. And the lesson there is you're not managing time, the clock keeps going, you're managing your decisions on how you use that time. So it all boils down to decision making, really, literally. So, going to help you with that a little bit today. So let's jump into the 6 types of decisions. And if you have other types that you think of, please share. I love learning from you guys as much as you probably enjoy learning from me. So let me start off by saying there are lots of different ways to categorize decisions. These are not like the only 6 that exist, right? This is, again, my interpretation of the research that I've done. And you can certainly categorize them in other ways. So you might say, oh yeah, I call that something else. Or, oh, I break that type of decision into 2 subcategories. Really, let's get past the semantics and let's just think about the fact that there are different types of decisions we make, and they require different amounts of time, energy, focus, input. And we have to be very aware of the types of decisions before us and then how much of those resources we should be putting towards the decisions. All right, so without further ado, let's dive into the 6 types. The first I call automatic or programmed. And honestly, this is probably a large majority of those 35,000. So this is, did you decide to get up and stretch your arms or did you decide to get up and stretch your legs? These are the types of decisions that they are so automatic, you're probably not even looking at them as decisions. Like our subconscious is running the show in a lot of these circumstances. So if, typically you get up, you shower, you brush your teeth, you go eat breakfast. And that's, just, you could do it half awake and half asleep. Those are kind of the automatic decisions that happen throughout your day. So it's 12 o'clock noon where I am. Barbara, it's still morning, and Mona, I'm guessing it's evening for you. So we're all in different time zones. So Barb is still early on in her decision making. I'm in the middle, and Mona, you've already made almost all 35,000 of yours. I can't see if anybody else is here. But think of some of those that have just been automatic, right? So you really give almost no thought to those decisions. They just kind of happen. Yes, I mean, your brain is having to like send a signal to your legs to stand up or stay sitting, right? To drink from the cup or to, reach for the snack. But really it's almost a subconscious decision made. Requires very little energy, very little thought. You're almost unaware of those decisions. Pretty insignificant in most cases. Okay, the next type is what I call routine. So this is when you kind of already have a process in place and you are just choosing to follow the protocol. So I'm going to use a business example. As you all know, I love putting systems in place for business owners. So this might be, you have a morning check-in routine as the owner of the business. And for you, that might be, as soon as you get into your office, lights go on, music goes on, boot your computer up and open your planner, right? So these routine decisions are just you following protocol that's already been established. Uh, there's probably a little bit of wiggle room in there. You might take a little longer getting the music going. You might, if part of your morning routine is like getting your day scheduled out, you might decide to spend a little extra time on it Monday versus Thursday, but you're following a routine, and the routine is almost pushing the decisions forward for you. So again, really what you're deciding is, I'm going to follow the system, or on the flip side, not following the system today. I'm going off off protocol, right? So if we go back to the resources that type of decision requires, minimal energy, minimal thought. You know that you typically do one thing after another, and again, you're just deciding, yep, this is serving me well, I'm going to keep following the routine. So again, probably a large amount of your decisions each day are following some sort of protocol that already exists. Now, this is where, so I want to expand on this a little bit, because I will tell you, I have, oh, Chanel, 6 p.m. for you. Yeah, so you are winding down. You and Mona might be reaching decision fatigue here, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So what I want to mention here is with routine. In fact, I just got off the phone with a client, and I hear this a lot, especially with owners who are newer in their business. And the statement that I hear is, I don't know what I should be doing. Like I'm in my office. I know that I have a ton of projects I could be working on. I need to be building my, Facebook community. I need to be reaching out to my list. I need to be working on a program that's, taking place in a couple weeks. But like in this moment right now, I don't know what I should be doing. And I end up getting lost in Facebook, or I end up doing a whole bunch of busy work. This is where, so if you're experiencing that, if you have days where you think to yourself, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Is this the right use of my time? That's a sign that you probably don't have enough systems in place, because you want to have, as a business owner, you want to have good process in place. You want to know that because it's Thursday at 12 o'clock, you're showing up for your audience. Or because it's Friday at 3 p.m., you're closing out the books for the week. So if you're experiencing almost what would be called decision paralysis, like I can't decide what I should be doing right now, it's probably a sign that you need more systems in place so that you're being guided. All right. To use the phrase that I mentioned earlier, decision fatigue, we can experience fatigue from making so many decisions. And what happens when we have decision fatigue is we either enter paralysis and we say, I cannot make one more decision today. And so I'm going to just have to put everything on hold. We can start making rash decisions and say, like, I don't have any mental energy left. So yes, I'm going to say yes. And I don't care what happens. So we can experience we're making decisions in a rash manner because we're like tapped out of energy and focus. We can also sometimes do the whole postponement of decisions, or we can make short-sighted decisions. So like, well, that's going to help me today, so I'll just do it this way, instead of looking and saying, if I decide with good intent and strategy, then I can make sure that this is now the way we do things moving forward. So I explained decision fatigue to show you that systems and structure are going to like shrink down the number of decisions you need to make every day as a business leader. And so it's reserving your energy and your focus for the important decisions, okay? Because the routine decisions and the automatic decisions, they're not super important because they're not like, they're not moving your business forward necessarily. They're just kind of keeping you going at the steady pace. Okay, so we talked about automatic or programmed decisions. We talked about routine decisions, which are important. They're important that we have systems so we can follow the routine, so that we're following the rules. We're not deciding every single day how I'm going to start my day. We're deciding I'm following my morning routine because I know that will put me in a proactive place for the rest of the day. The third component here, the third type of decision, is strategic. So now we're getting into the types of decisions that are important, vital for your business to be growing and progressing. So strategic are definitely the more important decisions. They can impact your bigger goals or your bigger objectives. They are, potentially going to lead you to the investment of more time or more energy or more funds in your business. So they're kind of sending you in a certain direction. Strategic decisions send you on a certain path. And so they need to be well thought out, right? This is where it is worth doing some due diligence, doing some research, creating your pro and con list, playing out the scenario if you decide yes, if you decide no, and if you decide plan B. So the strategic decisions are where we need energy, we need mental clarity, we need time, we might need financial resources with these strategic decisions that we're making. Most of you in this community are solopreneurs, or you have a very small team. And so 9 out of 10 times, I'll venture to say, the strategic decision is still yours solely to be made. So if you are working at corporate America, those strategic decisions, typically it's still a small group. It's like your C-suite, right? But typically there's multiple people that are kind of weighing in on the strategic decisions. Most of us here are still the sole, responsible party for the strategic decisions. So it's not like we can tap into other people's energy or clarity. It has to come from us. So the strategic decisions are going to be the ones that you need to have time and energy for. I tell most of my clients, depending on if you have a certain zone during the day where you are most alert, most clear, most decisive. So you kind of want to find that. For most people, it is earlier in the day because we haven't made the 35,000 decisions yet. We're maybe only on 10,000. And so the strategic decisions, you want to make those at the right time of day where you have full focus, you're not worn out, you haven't had to deal with a whole bunch of non-essential choices. So strategic decisions need to be made at strategic times, is I guess what I'm telling you here. So an example of a strategic decision, are you ready to hire a new assistant? Are you going to switch vendors? Are you, ready to start offering a new program or service or product? Those are your strategic decisions. Okay, questions yet? If you have any questions on these categories, go ahead and pop them in the comments. The fourth type of decision that business owners must make is operational or tactical. So this goes back to what I said earlier about systems, right? Again, it's us. We decide as owners of the business, we decide what's the system, what's the protocol, what's the process that I want to be executed every time a new client becomes, a paying customer. What's the process every time we're onboarding a new team member? So the operational or tactical decisions, you're laying the groundwork, laying the foundation for how these processes in your business are going to flow, and you're basically leading yourself to having those routines, those structures, and those systems. So somebody has to decide them, right? And again, it's us. Let's compare it again to corporate. Most middle management, they're not deciding, how a team, collaboration meeting is going to run. It's already been laid out by the higher ups, and they're just making routine decisions. But as small business owners, we are setting the foundation. We have to choose what's the system that will be followed, and then we choose to follow the system. Okay. So example, operational or tactical decisions, they really do have a longer term impact on your business, growth of your business, scalability, how team is going to represent you and your business. So this might be a really great example that I can provide to you. I worked with a company a year or two ago, retail, brick and mortar store, a flooring company, and they had to decide, due to some changes in their warehousing, they had to decide how to outsource the carpet division of their business. And so they had to choose a vendor that was going to receive shipment of carpet. That vendor was then going to cut the carpet according to measurements that, for the installation. And then that company was going to have that product ready for installers to pick it up. Now, my client had to decide exactly how that process was going to look. Because this was happening off site. So they, and in this case, it was the CEO and the COO with a little input from the CFO. Everybody had to kind of put their opinion in. And then the CEO was the one who said, okay, we've done our research and we need to make sure that this is very clearly documented because there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar now. And this is how we are going to make this system flow. So he gathered opinions, he gathered information from the vendor and a couple other options, and then he had to make the decision that, okay, starting next month, we are following a new protocol for carpet and outlining step by step by step, what does the system look like. Therefore, the sales reps and the installers, they all just had to follow the routine. Their decisions were follow the routine. The CEO's decision was, what is the process? Okay, hope that's clear. Going back to who makes that decision, whose time and energy goes mostly into this, it can be team, but ultimately it's owner, CEO, right? Again, responsibility falls on the shoulders of who's in charge. So those are four. The fifth one is personal. Now, we are business owners. We all have personal lives that are going on at the exact same time as our business life. So, some decisions we cannot separate ourselves as business owner and person, right? We are one. So, there are some personal decisions that we have to make, choose to make, get to make that will have an impact on the business and on ourselves. Again, ultimately, the decision is ours, and we have to consider how decisions will impact us personally as well as the business. So, taking vacation, time off of work. How many of us have postponed taking a vacation because we felt like we can't do that? It's going to hurt the business too much. If I'm gone, everything stops. So that decision, that personal decision, is based on how it impacts the business. But the flip side of that decision, if we choose not to take any time off, if we don't go on vacation for 4 years, what's that doing to us personally? Setting us up for burnout, setting us up for making decisions that maybe we're not making with full clarity. We might be putting our health at risk. So personal decisions are important as a business owner. And it's okay to make a decision that's going to benefit us personally, even if it's going to have a little bit of a ripple effect, maybe in a, not ideal way on the business. So we can't forget the importance of personal decisions. We do have to look at how they will impact the business and ourselves, but the personal decisions are a big piece of being an owner, being a leader. Certainly, the personal decisions tend to fall way down on the priority level, right? I'll decide later when I can take some time off. I'll decide later if I need, a new chair to be comfortable. I'll decide later if, increasing the responsibility of my assistant would take some weight off my shoulders. We tend to postpone those personal decisions until it becomes, urgent, because we kind of I think we have some guilt about how it's going to impact the business. It's an essential decision, that type of decision that we need to be making on a more regular basis. Again, it requires our time, our focus, our energy, for sure. No one else can make the decision for us, even if we do have team. Okay, the sixth type of decision is group. So this is where I always go back to this example because I think it's such a good one. I think most of you are familiar with the saying, like, everything I learned about life, or everything I need to know, I learned in kindergarten. So when I was an educator, one of the things I learned early on was that when you are making rules for a classroom of, let's say, 7-year-olds, the more you get them to be a part of the process, the more the kids buy in to the rules. So first week of school, I would see teachers sitting, in circle time with a big chart or the blackboard behind them, and the teacher and the kids would be agreeing on the classroom rules. So the teacher might want a rule to be, being kind to others, but she would figure out how to get the kids to come up with the rule, and the teacher would use the children's terminology to come to an agreed upon rule. So it might be, loving each other. That might be how the kids phrased it. And everybody in the class agreed, like, yeah, that's good. I want to be loved. Don't you want to be loved? Yeah, we should all love each other. So let's, fast forward to being an adult and running a business. There are some parts of your business, if you have team, that you need to have group decision making, right? If you are saying it has to be done this way and you're not getting any feedback or any buy-in from your team, some of those decisions can just stop in the dirt and go nowhere. So thinking about your business, are there some group decisions that maybe right now you are putting on yourself. Maybe you're not asking for input. Maybe you're feeling like the responsibility is yours, where actually, say one of my clients had a sales team of 5 individuals. There were some things that the sales team probably could decide on their own and then come to the owner and say, we've decided this is what we would like to be best practice for, picking up final payment. So are there opportunities in your business where the decision doesn't have to fall on your shoulders and the decision is better made by the group, or at least majority, right? Majority of the team agreed that no one should be showing up to work in shorts. So is there some room in your business where the decision should be made by others or with others, so that there's buy-in, so that everyone feels like they were a part of the decision-making process? Therefore, the implementation of it is much more likely to be consistent, and you're not going to have to be worrying that I said to do it this way, but I'm afraid that they're doing it a different way when I'm not looking. So, recap: automatic decisions, routine decisions, strategic decisions, operational or tactical decisions, personal decisions, and group decisions. So here's what I want you to take away. Is this the only way to classify decisions? No. Are there likely other types, or could the terminology be different? Absolutely yes. But why is it important to classify? That's what I really want you to recognize here, because we make so many decisions every single day, especially as leaders and owners. It's important because it helps you determine how much time and energy to devote to the decision. If I have to decide on something and it's only going to have an impact through the week, till tomorrow, then I don't need to spend an hour hemming and hawing over it. I need to be fast and firm and let it run its course. If it's a decision, a strategic or a tactical decision that's going to have a long-term impact, then I probably do need to put more time and I definitely need to put more time and energy and thought into it and research into it. So knowing the type of decision can guide you in how much time and energy and focus and research you should be putting into it. It also helps you to decide whose input is needed, if anyone's. It helps you to think about, is it short-term impact, long-term impact? And then it also ultimately helps you to see, if I make a good, well thought out strategic decision today, will that minimize or eliminate the need to make decisions further down the road? Because it's all about simplifying. The fewer decisions we have to make, the faster we can be progressing, honestly. Avoid decision fatigue. It's really why we want to be strategic about decisions, so we don't reach fatigue, so we don't end up making those decisions rashly or with short-sightedness, or become paralyzed and create clutter, create missed opportunities, or stagnate the business because we're so busy trying to figure out what decision is perfect. And we all know there's no such thing as perfect. All right, so I always end my trainings with some sort of call to action for you all. Next steps: take what you know and do something with it, right? So observe the rest of today, or those of you who are on the other side of the world, observe tomorrow the decisions that you're making. Every 30 minutes or so, just kind of step back and say, what decisions did I just make over the last 30 minutes? Be aware of how many of them are taking place. How many of them are the, completely unaware and automatic? How many of them feel strategic? Are you putting way too much time into decisions that should be routine? And just start becoming an observer of your behaviors. And then with what you can start to really look at, where do you need systems? If I had systems over here in the financial part of my business, I would be able to spend only 60 minutes a week instead of 3 hours. If I could make a good strategic decision about how to bring on an assistant, I could free up 8 hours a week for myself. So start becoming more aware and then start making plans for how to be more strategic, for how to create more opportunity for routine and automatic decisions. And then last but certainly not least, make sure you're allowing time for those personal decisions so that you continue to love what you do and have the passion for the business and not feel like you have to choose work or business versus self, company versus family. The more you can blend them, the more you're going to be in that place of contentness and balance or integration. If you need help with the decision making, if you want an outside perspective, I'm here. I love this type of work and conversation. So I'm always up for a strategy call to take a closer look at how you are managing decisions, how we can minimize the decisions you're making every day, and how we can make sure that you're putting the right amount of time and energy into the right decisions for you and for your business. I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your day, your morning, your evening, your week, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Next week's theme/topic is prioritizing and the difference between urgency and importance. So hope you can join me next week. Thanks so much for being here. Go out and make it a productive day. Bye-bye.